In this session, we will go through how to import data and edit it. Like the previous session, we will open NetMiner and go through the steps together. We will start at the starting screen on NetMiner when it is first opened. Please set your screen so that you have the screen with the project name Untitled Project. Before we import the data onto NetMiner, it is important to know the format of the data you are working with so that you can use various methods to refine the data you collected well. As you must refine the data to a format that NetMiner can import it in, we will spend time looking at what kind of data formats NetMiner allows the user to work with. If we go back to the folder with the same data we looked at earlier, you can see the data as an Excel file, which can be imported into NetMiner. To do this, first, go to your computer folder and follow the same steps as the previous session. The Users folder in the C drive, and inside there, you can see the folder with your account name. Then, go to the NetMiner folder, then the Sample Data folder. Click on the SIREM dataset folder, then the OrgNet Tiny1 folder. Here, you can see the main node set, one mode network, some node set, and two mode network. Let's look at these 4 types of data formats one at a time. If you first open the main node set folder, as you can see, there is an Excel file and CSV file. Let's open the Excel file. In order to open this file, your PC should have the Excel program installed. Double-click to open the Excel file. So once the file is open, we can have a look at the data. This file is formatted so that you can enter a node set. Such data usually has a node and a label. A label is like an ID to distinguish each node, which can be in either text or numbers. Then, there is the node attribute data. Here, you can see that it is organized in a column structure. The first row of the data describes what kind of attribute each column is representing. This part is called the header. When you prepare your data, it is also important to think and identify whether there is a header. Next, let's look at the one mode network data. If you go back one step from the latest folder, you can see the one mode network data folder. If you enter this folder, you can see that there are 3 formats of data. These 3 formats are the network data formats that can be inputted in NetMiner. Let's have a look at each one individually. First, there is the edge list. Of the edge list, let's look at the Excel file with an attribute. Open the Personal Help with Attribute file. You can see that there are 5 columns: source, target, weight, time, for what. The source and target consist of the nodes that we saw previously in the main node set. As this data is from a survey, the source is the person who responded to the survey questions, and the target is the person that the source mentioned in their response. As a weight was assigned, you can also see a weight column. Besides the weight, there are 2 other link attributes: information on the time and the purpose of receiving personal help, labeled as for what. To prepare your data in this kind of format, it is necessary for you to define the source column and target column in your data. Thus, you should identify what is connected to what in your data. Now, let's return to the previous folder and look at the matrix data format. Although there is not a lot of data as a matrix format, you can definitely see it sometimes. If you can understand a matrix as network data, you can organize it in the format you see in the following and import it to NetMiner. Let's open the non-personally Excel file. Typically, matrix data is structured as a squared shape. This is the data as a matrix form. The first column is the source node. This is the node that acts as the link source. The nodes on the first row are the target nodes. Although it may be obvious, the nodes in the source and the nodes in the target should appear identically. This cell means that this source node gave this target a value of 1. The source nodes in the A column should also be in the first row. This type of format is a matrix. If the data sourced from the existing literature data are as a matrix format, you can import the data onto NetMiner without having to go through the complex data pre-processing. Now, go back to the one-mode network data folder and click the linked list folder. Here, you can see an unfamiliar format of data. Just note that this type of data can also be imported onto NetMiner. Double-click to open the Personal Friend Excel file. This data may be in a special format, but raw data can exist in these forms, and if too many pre-processing steps are not required, you can bring it immediately to NetMiner. For this structure, the first column must have the source nodes. Each row represents links. Thus, you can see that there are multiple links. For example, John sends a link to David. But there is also another link that John sends to Robert. As the source is the same person, when the link is expressed, the source is only written once, and the targets are written in the same row in order. This type of format is useful when entering survey data, and there can also be raw data that exists in this format. You can also enter data in this format on NetMiner. A characteristic of this data format is that the first column contains the source nodes. If this is a survey data, the one responding should be the node. The node can be both people or an organization. All the target nodes should be written starting from the second column. In this format, targets sharing the same source are typed along the same row like this. It can be very efficient when you enter the data yourself. However, most of the time, you would get the raw data from a data source. This linked list format is not very common. Next, let's have a look at the subnode set. Go back to the file setting where the subnode set folder is. If you look at the subnode set folder, you can see that it is organized like the main node set folder. Since we had a look at the club node set previously, we will look at the commodities file this time. Like I said before, the subnode set is in the same structure as the main node set. Thus, the node list, that is, the node's label should be in the first column. the node attributes are in the next column. In the current data, we can see the commodities node list on the first column and 3 types of marks as the node attributes. Now, let's go back to the files with the two-mode network data. The two-mode network is organized in 3 different formats like the one-mode network data. NetMiner supports all 3 data formats to be imported. First, let's open the edge list data file. Open the purchase Excel file. The first column is the source node consisting of the nodes from the main node set. The second column is the target node, which consists of the commodities nodes from the subnode set. Like this example, we can see that the links that exist between the main and subnodes can be shown as an edge list. Now, let's go back to the folders with the matrix data format. Open the Club Affiliation Excel file. The first column consists of the nodes from the main node set. The subnodes that are the targets are these 3 columns. As this is a matrix format, the first column is the source nodes, and the first row lists the target nodes. The data is in a squared shape format. It shows that since John is registered in Club 3, the cell value is 1. As shown in this example, data as a matrix can be imported as a two-mode network to NetMiner. So far, we have looked at each of the Excel files. Now, we will bring this data to NetMiner. Go to the File menu on NetMiner and click on Import. From here, we have to click on the Excel file. For the text file menu, you can import CSV files, such as the one we saw previously. The NTF file, DL file, project file, stocknet file, and GML files are all file types that you can use in software for network analysis. In this course, we will import Excel files. When you click on the Excel file, you can see the Import Excel window. Here, click on the Browse button on the right. When you click on this button, the data folder will open. Here, you can just locate to the folder where we saw the sample data earlier on. Since we already had a look at the data previously, the location of the file should already be shown. Here, we will import the data starting from the main node set to the two-mode network data. First, go to the main node set to select the employee Excel file and click on Open to check a preview of whether the data is entered appropriately. For this file on Excel, we saw that the first row was a header, showing the titles of each of the columns. Thus, we have to select whether there is or is not a header here. For this example, the header was automatically recognized and selected. If there is no header in the file, you have to deselect this box. For the data type, since this file will be for the main node set, this box is selected. If you click on the More button, you can see more options here where you can see if the type of data is recognized correctly for each column you are entering. Text data should be selected as text, and numerical data should be selected as number. After you check all the data types, click on OK and the OK on the bottom as well. Then the message "Data successfully imported" should appear to indicate that the data file was imported. Now, you can see that on the main node set, there are 22 nodes and 6 attributes imported. If you double-click on it, you can see the dataset imported as how you wanted it to be. Now, we will import the one-mode network, which shows the links between the nodes. Go to the File menu, select Import, then Excel file. Here, click on the Browse button and locate to the one-mode network data folder. Select the Edge List folder. We will open the Personal Help with Attribute file, which contains link attributes. If you select the file and click on Open, you can see a preview of the data in the file. Since there is a column header, make sure this box is selected. Change the data type from the main node set to the one-mode network, which shows the links between nodes. The data format should be on Edge List. If you click on the More button, you can see whether the link attribute is in numbers or text. You can also set the time attribute as a time data type. So, you should make sure that the data is entered so that NetMiner can correctly identify and designate the data type. Since all the attributes have been identified correctly, click on OK. Then, click the OK on the bottom. Now, you can see that the one-mode network has been imported correctly. Next, let's bring the subnode set. Go to File, Import, Excel file, and click on the Browse button. Go back to the OrgNet Tiny1 folder to select the subnode set folder. Now, let's open the node set interests. If you have a look at the file content, you can see that there are the nodes relevant to one's interests, with the first row showing the headers named Interests and Category. Thus, since there are headers, make sure the column header is selected in the Headers option. The data type should be subnode set. As there was no previous subnode set, a temporary name for the target node set is automatically assigned. We can leave it as it is. Click on OK. And now, we can see that the subnode set on interest is imported. If you double-click on the subnode set, you can see imported 5 nodes on interest and the node attribute category. Now, let's bring the two-mode network data relevant to this subnode set. Go to the same menu, File, Import, Excel file, and click on Browse. Return to the OrgNet Tiny1 folder and select the two-mode network data folder. Then, the linked list folder. Select and open the Interest in Excel file to see a preview like this here. As this data is a linked list, the first column is a source, and the rest columns are the target nodes, and there is no header. The data type is a two-mode network, and the type should be set as linked list. Below, you can see that the target node set named Interest in is from the Excel file name itself. It is a temporary name assigned to create a new node set. If you click on the down arrow triangle button on the right, you can see a list of the subnode sets that you imported previously. Hence, click on the Interest node set that we imported earlier on to import the data as a two-mode network that this node set is a part of. Next, I will explain the data integrity option section here below. Here, you can select whether you would like to add nodes that you discover additionally later on to the current node set. For example, if you select Insert Newly Discovered Nodes, you can add a new node that is not a part of the 5 interest nodes in the data currently to the node set. If you click on the down arrow triangle on the right again, you can see the Discard Newly Discovered Nodes option. This option removes newly discovered nodes. This function is very convenient when integrating your raw data into a fixed node set. Hence, depending on your needs, you can select whether you would like to add new nodes or not. For now, we will leave the option as how it is and click on OK. Let's have a look at the two-mode network that we imported. If you click on the network data named Interested in, you can see that there are 42 links. Here, we can see that a link data connecting the main node set and subnode set was created. With this, we have up to this point completed practicing how to import data onto NetMiner. Now, we will have a look at how to edit data on NetMiner. You may end up in a situation where you'd like to add new nodes or links to your data. We will practice what steps you have to go through to do this now. First, click on Main Node Set to go to the screen. Next, before we add a new node, we will run an analysis using the main node set. Click the buttons as you can see on the screen. Analyze, Neighbor, Degree. Leave the initial value as it is and click Run Process. The analysis report should appear, and you can see that you conducted a degree analysis as a log here under the Sessions tab. Although we completed the analysis, you may want to change the node set. We will open the main node set to add a node now. To do this, click on your mouse right button under this list of nodes here and select Insert Node on the menu. A window saying Warning appears. Since you already conducted a degree analysis on the 22 people, if you add a node, the analysis results will change. Hence, this window asks whether you want to preserve this analysis result or proceed the analysis and delete the initial results. Let's see what changes happen when we select Switch to Child. When we have a look at the work file tree, you can see that a new work file is created underneath with the label Edit Data. In other words, the edited version of the work file is created dependently on the original work file. This yellow icon indicates that this specific work file is currently open. From here, an Insert Node window opens where we can add the name of the new node we will add. Let's name the new node Node. If you click on After Selection, since the current node list is selecting Julia, the new node will be added in the row after Julia. We will enter 5 as the number of nodes, then click OK. Now you can see that 5 new nodes named Node are created with the number 1 to 5 labeled next to each one temporarily. The node attributes are shown as red, as the newly added nodes don't have any attributes yet. The red indicates missing value, that is, no value entered. Now, let's try adding a new link as well. Double-click on the Personal Help with Attribute Weighted Edge List network. we will create a link to the new node set we created earlier. Locate your mouse to the area with the link list and right-click to open the menu. Click on Insert Link, then the Insert Link window will appear. Let's find the new node that we added earlier. Scroll down and you can find and select Node 1, which should then appear in blue. Let's click on Node 1 and Node 5 to connect them. The current data has the weights 15, so for now, we will set the weight as 3. Click OK, and now you can see that a new link is added to the link set. This link also appears red as it does not have any attributes. This way, you can create and add new nodes and link to your data. You can also delete any nodes and links as well. Why don't we try and delete a node from the node set? Double-click on Node Set. Previously, we added a link that connects Node 1 and Node 5, but not for nodes 2, 3, and 4. Drag Node 2, 3, and 4 to select all 3 nodes at once, and right-click your mouse to open the menu. Click on Delete Node to remove nodes 2, 3, and 4 at once. You may also want to add a new attribute to the node set column. To do so, right-click your mouse and click on Insert Attribute from the menu. You have to label your attribute. We will name this one Rank. If you look at the attribute types, you can see that there are 5 different ways to express the attributes: number, text, date, time, and date. For now, let's select the attribute type as number. If you click OK, you can see that there is a new column named Ranking. Since there is no value entered right now, let's input it ourselves. Randomly, type in number 1, 2, and 3 like this. It is not very common to enter the data yourself, but you can use it in situations like these. Now that we have completed all the practices, you have everything you need to import and edit data on NetMiner. Next, we will go through how to visualize network data. Thank you.